Welcome back to another extreme grocery budget challenge. If you're new here, my name is Leah and I am all about spending less and creating more. A low budget does not have to mean boring food, and the same holds true during the holidays. So if you want to see how we make a Thanksgiving meal for 8 people for $8, stick around. This is Savvy Saute. With the holidays coming up, I knew I wanted to see what kind of low budget we could use and still create a delicious meal for our family and friends during the holiday. I know that there is a lot of food insecurity in our country. This challenge is not just for fun. I did want to create awareness and also maybe some inspiration and help you if you are looking for ways to cut back this holiday season. And maybe you are just watching this video for entertainment purposes, and if that's the case, I highly encourage you to pick up a couple extra items when you're out shopping and donate them to the food pantry, a church, or even a shelter in your area. I will never forget when our family was personally struggling, and one Thanksgiving, a group from our church had put together boxes of dinner items, including a turkey, and came to our house and dropped off all of these groceries. It was such a surprise and such a blessing. Maybe you can do the same thing this year. Be inspired to find somebody in your community that is in need and be a blessing to them. Now today I am working with my own cash budget that I was able to set aside for this meal. But if you are unable to come up with a budget at all for your meal, please make sure you check out your local resources like your food banks, shelters, local churches, and even something like the Salvation Army. A lot of places are creating meals or even passing out boxes of food, especially dedicated to the Thanksgiving theme. Today's discounts are brought to you by Ibotta, and I am not sponsored by them. However, they do pay me back for so many groceries that I purchase on a regular basis. Right now, they have several items for Thanksgiving dinner that ends up being free and sometimes even makes you money by purchasing them. So make sure you check them out, take advantage of what they're offering right now, and let's get shopping. Before I realized that Ibotta had all of their discounts available, I chose to go to Walmart because it is more widely available to all of you. And I wanted to show you just how inexpensively you can make a large family dinner. Now, if you don't take advantage of the Ibotta rebates, you can definitely stick to a budget under $30, which I feel like is really, really fair for that many people. I see a lot of challenges here on YouTube for Thanksgiving dinners that feed a family of 4 for $20. So to double that for only $28 and change is a pretty great deal. Make sure you check out the description box. I have in here for you listed all of the details in how I spent the money, as well as ideas on how to save even more money, especially if you are not able to use the Ibotta rebates. I also have substitutions listed in case you are unable to use all of the ingredients that I was today. Now, in regards to specific brands that I've chosen to use today, that is because certain name brands were free with Ibotta as opposed to the Great Value brand. I used almost 3 sticks of butter for the dinner today, and I have that pricing listed for you in the budget. But if you want to save more money, instead of buying butter, you can spend 88 cents on 4 sticks of margarine. So keep that in mind whenever you're shopping. When it comes to the pie, I chose to get the frozen one instead of the pumpkin pie from the bakery because it was actually 50 cents cheaper for the same amount of food. So, of course, that was a no-brainer for me. And then the heavy whipping cream, I just needed a small amount. I wanted to have homemade whipped cream to go with the pumpkin pie. It was cheaper just to do that and have an ingredient that could then double in something else like the mashed potatoes. So definitely check that out whenever you're trying to stick to a budget, is items that can be used for more than one thing. That way you're not spending $3 on one item that you're not using up all the way and another $3 for something else that you are not going to need the entirety of either. Back from the grocery store, and this is all of the items that I picked up. A lot of them ended up being free with Ibotta, so I'm going to be showing you up here how you can do the exact same thing that I did. I'm also going to include the full price if you do not use Ibotta. So let's get into this. I'm going to start over here with the pie. I feel like you have to have pumpkin or sweet potato pie at Thanksgiving if you can afford it. And if you go into the freezer dessert section, you're going to spend 50 cents less on this pie than you would the one in the bakery. And it was definitely more cost effective just to purchase one that was already made as opposed to getting all of the ingredients to make it yourself. So if you already have ingredients to make a pie, then go ahead and do that. But if you're working from very little ingredients to start with, then go ahead and pick up a pie that is already done. And the freezer section is going to be your best bet, I bet you. The next thing I wanted to get was the heavy whipping cream. This is going to be making whipped cream for the top of our pie, but we're also going to be using it in some of our cooking. So I got just a small one, and instead of using milk for some things, I am just going to double duty the heavy whipping cream so that I can still have whipped cream, and then I'll have a cream to use in other things in place of milk. The Coca-Cola we would not have purchased necessarily on our own, but it was a free item, and having some special drink like this at a holiday or a special dinner just makes it feel a little bit nicer. So have that. This is the smallest turkey breast I was able to find, and it does come with a gravy pack, so that makes it a little bit nicer. I didn't need to get a massive turkey. I prefer turkey breast. I feel like they cook quicker and it's just easier. And the price per pound is actually more expensive to get just the breast. You could spend the exact same amount of money on a large turkey that has the dark meat, the entire bird, but I just wanted to do the turkey breast. So there's an option for you. I also wanted to pick up for free the Jiffy corn mix. I'm going to be making my own dinner rolls, but this came free with Ibotta. I also picked up this can of cranberry sauce for $1.50. They had it for free with Ibotta for the Great Value brand, which would also be cheaper in general, but they were completely out of stock at my store. So we went with the name brand for the cranberry sauce. We also need some potatoes for our dinner. So I'm going to be making a sweet potato casserole, and I'm just using 2 large sweet potatoes. And then for regular mashed potatoes, I picked up 2 of these russet potatoes. Combined, it was exactly 1 pound. And I'm going to add that to this package of instant potatoes just to give it more of a homemade feel and make it stretch further. This ended up coming for free with Ibotta. It was still less than $2, and you don't necessarily have to add more expensive ingredients because you just need to add water. So this is a really good budget-friendly option. It says it serves 8 people as opposed to just buying regular potatoes, which you're going to then need to have some milk and fat. This is already just add water. But I'm going to go ahead and make it stretch, use both ingredients together along with some butter and cream for some really good mashed potatoes. Also gravy, this is available for free with Ibotta, so we can have some extra gravy if we want to put this into the stuffing mix, what have you. So I went ahead and got that since it was for free. I also got the Jiffy corn mix for free, and all you need to add is milk and egg. So if you have those items, you can go ahead and do that, and it'll be a free item for you. But I did pick up some yeast for 77 cents for all of this. We're not going to need all 3 packs. It ends up being about 25 cents for the 1 package that we're going to need to make our homemade dinner rolls. Another item that came for free with Ibotta, but I feel like is so important for Thanksgiving, is your stuffing or dressing mix. This is just a typical cornbread stuffing mix, and you just add water and butter. It says right here how much you need, and it did come for free with Ibotta, but it was only about 80 something cents, so it's really cost effective. Remember, Great Value brand is going to almost always be cheaper than the name brand, so I picked that up, and I feel like it is just as good as stovetop, and it's definitely much cheaper to do this than to make your own homemade with all of the other ingredients that you need at the grocery store. I picked up the French's onions. It's the Great Value brand, and we're going to use this in our traditional green bean casserole. This was another free item with Ibotta, along with the cream of mushroom soup. They were both for free, and then I am adding it with 1 can of 50 cents green beans from the canned section at Walmart, and then this came for free with Ibotta. It's worth $1, so we're going to just combine the 2, and that'll give us plenty of green beans for everybody. So that is all of the items that we're going to be using for our dinner today. So let's go ahead and get started. Right, the first thing I want to do is work on our pie so that way it can be done and cooling. I don't like to eat hot pumpkin pie. I want it to be in the fridge for a while. This is something that you can easily do the day ahead of time. So here on the ingredients it says we need to heat up the oven to 375, and then we're going to remove all of the packaging and bake it. It says to put it onto a baking sheet, and it's going to be in the oven for a little over an hour. So we're going to go ahead and do that first. Okay, this might be why it's cheaper in the freezer section. I'm really disappointed. It must have thawed out at some point, slid over onto the crust. So we're going to do our best to make this nice. Right. I'm going to use some foil and wrap it around the edge of the pie so that the pie crust doesn't burn. The next thing I'm going to start working on is this turkey breast. I'm going to put it into my Instant Pot. You can definitely do this in your oven on like just a roasting pan or a deeper casserole dish, but I'm wanting to get this done extra quickly, so that's why I'm doing it in here. And then I'm going to stick it back into my oven to help it brown on top after it's done cooking all the way through. So here's how I'm going to season it. So I have the turkey breast sitting here so that I can season it before putting it into the Instant Pot. I have 1/2 cup of soft or slightly melted butter or margarine. Margarine is going to be your cheaper option, remember. And I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of Cajun seasoning. You could also use something more traditional like some Italian seasoning, thyme, salt, and pepper. You don't have to do a lot of crazy seasonings. You could just add some salt to this, put it on there, and call it good. But we're going to use 1 tablespoon of this Cajun seasoning. It's our favorite to do with our turkey. If you pat the turkey dry with paper towel or napkin, it's going to help it be a little bit more dry, and the butter or margarine will stick to it easier. You can also do this with a whole chicken for a cheaper option if you don't need to feed as many people, or even get a 10-pound bag of chicken leg quarters for $6 and it'll be the exact same process. So at this point, you can go ahead and stick that into the Instant Pot with 1 cup of water at the bottom and cook it for 50 minutes on regular high pressure, or you can leave it in the casserole or roasting pan and you can cover it with some foil. That way it traps in all of the moisture. The first thing for these dinner rolls that we need to do is have 1 cup of a little more than lukewarm water in a large bowl with 1 packet of this fast rising yeast. Just gonna let that dissolve. Next, we're gonna add in our sugar, and this is a total of 3 tablespoons. We need 2 tablespoons of oil, and we need 1 egg. Next, we're going to mix in 1.5 cups of flour. Once that's combined, add 1 more cup of flour. And then we're going to add 1/2 cup after that. You're going to see that it comes away from the bowl now. It's no longer sticking to the side of the bowl, but it's not super dry either. So that's the consistency we're looking for. So now we're just going to put a little bit of oil on the top, all around it. We're going to cover it with a towel. The next thing I want to work on is our sweet potato casserole or sweet potato mash. So I'm just going to microwave these for about 4.5 to 5.5 minutes. The green bean casserole is really easy. We're just going to literally combine the ingredients, 1 can of green beans with our free green beans from the freezer section, 1 can of cream of mushroom, and then we're going to put some onions inside and on top. An easy substitution to save some more money with this dish is to just add salt, pepper, and about 2 tablespoons of butter, and you can cook them on the stovetop or even the microwave, and you don't need to have all of these extra toppings. This is a more traditional Thanksgiving dinner dish, but you can have a delicious vegetable side without spending the money on the cream of mushroom and the crispy onions. Even the fanciest ingredients need to be seasoned well. So whether you're making this a casserole or just a good flavored green bean dish, make sure you add about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, so now we're going to move on to the sweet potatoes. I have 2 sweet potatoes cooked. I'm going to add just under 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I'm also going to put in about 2 tablespoons of softened butter or margarine, 1 egg, about 1/4 cup of milk, so we're going to use the heavy cream. So the recipe, if we were to have used more sweet potato, it would be an entire 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of milk. So I'm just gonna put in a little bit of water since that's cream. Since it's cream, it doesn't have to be so rich. All right, so there's some water. We're gonna mix that all together. You can also go ahead and add in some cinnamon and vanilla if you have that. Now we need to remove the skin off the sweet potatoes and then chop them up and get them mashed and combined with that mixture. I'm going to bake this in a glass pie dish, and you can leave it as is, or you can go ahead and put the topping on that I'm going to show you how to make now. You're going to end up needing equal parts of brown sugar, flour, and butter, and then crumble that all up together, and it's going to create a really nice topping. I also like to add cinnamon on top after that. It gives it color and flavor. Now I'm working on our mashed potatoes, so I just went ahead and peeled the 2 potatoes. We're gonna chop those up. You do not need to add more potatoes to the mashed potato mix that we picked up. It does say that it serves 8 people. We just wanted to have a little bit more of a homemade flavor put into ours, as well as stretch it just a little bit further because everybody gets seconds of mashed potatoes. We're just going to let those potatoes boil until they're nice and tender and check on all of our other ingredients. The pie is done when a toothpick comes clean, and then the bread dough is ready to go ahead and roll out into some dinner rolls. So I'm taking out the dough, putting it onto a floured surface, and I'm going to knead it a few times, probably about 6-7 times, and then separate it into however many dinner rolls we want to have. So I have these down into 18 sections. We're just gonna roll them a little bit. You cup your hand, just roll them like that. You've got a little ball. And just place them all onto the baking sheet. I like to line mine with either parchment paper or one of my silicone mats. I'll let these sit and kind of rise a little bit before placing them into the oven. Next, I'm just going to mash all of these potatoes. If you have to do them by hand, you can, or you can pull out your hand mixer and just blend them all together. Next, I'm going to add in about 1 cup of our cream. You'll probably need to add some more water too, depending on how much water you boiled your potatoes in. Now that our dinner rolls have had about 15 minutes to set out individually before going in the oven, we're now going to bake them at 400 degrees until they are golden on top. And I want to chill up our cranberry sauce. I was really impressed with this brand. I've never purchased cranberry sauce out of a can. I do have a recipe that I use to make homemade, but this was delicious. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do this cornbread stuffing mix. And first we need to heat 1.5 cups of water with some butter. While the water is coming to a boil for our stuffing, we're just going to remove the turkey breast from the Instant Pot, add some more of our flavored butter to the top of it, and stick that into the oven along with the dinner rolls at 400 degrees so that it can brown on top. Then we're just going to add our stuffing mix to that boiling water and season up our mashed potatoes. I like to put a little bit of salt and pepper. My grandma always added paprika to the top of hers. That's really just for color. As it sits on the table, it's pretty. But now we're going to move on to our gravy. I have all of our drippings removed from the Instant Pot when we had our turkey cooking. I'm going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter or oil and 2 tablespoons of flour in there, combine it, and let it cook for just about 30 seconds to a minute. And then we're going to whisk in quickly all of those drippings. The turkey breast that I purchased actually had a large packet of gravy in there already made, and you just had to heat it up. And then, of course, we also picked up the turkey packet gravy for free with Ibotta. So you don't have to make homemade gravy if you use the same budget plan that I did, but there is just nothing like homemade gravy on Thanksgiving or any day, really. The last thing that we need to put together is the whipped cream for the pumpkin pie. And of course, you could purchase Cool Whip or whipped cream in a can, but this was just one really easy way to save some money in our budget. So I'm going to add the remainder of our heavy whipping cream, which equaled out to just at 1 cup, which was perfect for the whole pie. And we're going to put in 1.5 tablespoons of powdered sugar. I believe you can use regular granulated sugar as well. I just prefer the powdered sugar. I think it dissolves better. You're just going to whip that on high speed until it comes to the consistency that you want. Just be careful not to over whip it because then you will have sweet butter. Now we're just going to set the table for our delicious feast. I think that pretty dishes make the meal seem extra special. Of course, it's not necessary. You can do it buffet style on your counter and serve it with whatever you happen to have. But look how beautiful. This entire spread was so delicious. Nobody believed that it only cost me $8 out of pocket. We were able to share a delicious meal with loved ones and have some amazing leftovers as well. Who doesn't love good Thanksgiving leftovers? So make sure you leave in the comments below what you like to do with your Thanksgiving or even Christmas leftovers. I always love hearing ideas from you all. And of course, as always, until the next video, I will see you in the comments, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving wherever you are.